Evening all. So this was a rather enjoyable match that we had last night, and I thought I'd share it because I think it's always quite good to maybe show the other side of being Redline, because I know a lot of the time we're talking about Redline at the moment, which seems to be quite topical. So what I thought I'd do is show you where we were being Redlined and we actually turned it round into being Redlined. And the thing started really with recapturing B, and I actually forgot to press record for about the first 3 minutes of the game. So I do apologise, but as you can see, we're being hit at B. We've managed to get a counter hack here, and this was real credit to the opposing team, because firstly they're just destroying everything. So they've got sniper tanks killing RCAUs and supply depots where possible. Obviously they can't see them all, and we basically were just being kind of hemmed in. Now what we did is we started to push back at B, but they were basically very quickly and able and very quickly in fact able to get back into the fray at B. So we're kind of really just trying to repel borders at the moment, and they had two tanks, both of which were causing us quite a bit of trouble. So what you're seeing here is really, I guess, our kind of ability to defend. Now I like this map quite a lot, and I think when B spawns large tall buildings around you like this, it's even better. So we're a big fan of this random generated kind of building, and I think, as you can see here, we're pretty much forcing that tank to come at us. But that, again, here we go. So first thing I did here is retreat, and you can see this is a pretty good tank. I think it's actually a Madruga, as you can see, but I think it was one of the and immediately I see its shields are down, so basically this whole squad just starts pelting it with AVs, and doesn't matter how good your tank is, it's just never going to stand up against 3-4 people chucking AVs at it. And as you can see, we're just being able to repel them quite aggressively here. That was about 4 people killed and maybe 5 people killed in quick succession. They've also spawned behind our lines. As you can see here, they've got drop pads behind us and they're trying to snipe us. So generally they were doing a really good job of killing us. I was also doing a really good job of killing John, our pro dude here, because I dropped an LAV on his head. Sorry, dude. But basically what we're doing here was really just repelling borders. So with B kind of secured, maybe we move our focus to C. Now again, I think this is something I've said many times before, so I'm sorry to say it again, but the more aggressive you are, the more you'll win, and I really do believe that. I think a lot of people cringe and recoil when maybe they are absolutely assaulted, like front on. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of the mindset and what we're seeing here on the enemy team is very true to that. They were coming right at us, bro, and then all of a sudden they just immediately started to stop. They all spawned here at C. As you can see here, myself and the other members in the squad, we've got them pretty much kettled quite nicely here. But what was interesting was they started to stop showing up, which is kind of bizarre, isn't it? But they actually started to show signs of, oh well, I don't want to lose anymore, I'm going to snipe. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it was really, that pretty much meant that we'd won. Do you know what I mean? From that moment that happened, we started to see them really backing off. And I think it's true of any game, really. Particularly Eve, I would say. The more aggressive you are, the more likely you are to win. And aggression is not, kind of mercilessness. It's actually more kind of how focused and how aggressive and kind of focused you can be, I guess. It's a funny one. I think certainly in Dust we've completely altered our mindset, and hopefully you've probably seen this in the evolution of my character. In that I used to be quite reserved, careful, cautious. Now I think I'm quite willing just to throw my body into into any situation at all, kind of like a diseased prostitute. No, I'm kidding. But you see what I mean? It's like a really weird kind of mindset that I think all of a sudden maybe that's kind of the first step of moving on to a different level of play. It certainly feels it, because we've become infinitely more successful in court battles, in skirmishes and whatever. And I think it's just down to no retreat, no mercy, just keep going forward, really. I'm sure a lot of you this is not a revelation, but for some of you, I think if you're the kind of player who halfway through the map, if you've been killed 5 times in a row, you then think, right, sod it, I'm going to snipe, then that's where we were. I think that's where I was particularly. But I think now we're kind of at the point where, right, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's keep going, keep at them, because at the end of the day, eventually one of the two parties gives. Anyway, so that just, again, musings from a stupid man. What we're doing also as well is we're seeing a lot of really good use of vehicles lately. As you can see there, vehicles are becoming just absolutely central to what we do now. So we're constantly calling in LOVs, constantly calling in tanks when needed, dropships and so on. I wish the dropship was a bit better, but here we go. A nice orbital here. There's a gun logi. That's his expensive gun logi that he's bought for Aurum. So let's just inspect that from above. Boom. Okay, no, that wasn't the Aurum one. Maybe that was the one I killed earlier. But there we go, one gun logi down. Rarely do you actually kill tanks with orbitals now, I must admit. I was surprised actually I killed that dude, but it was funny, you know. And I think that maybe kind of goes to show how I keep saying tanks are OP, tanks are not OP, etc., etc. But I don't know. I think it's difficult to say they are actually overpowered when one orbital kills them, or a couple of dudes with AV grenades can just wipe them out. I don't know. I mean, tanks, shouldn't they be tough? But then you think World War II. Oh my God, I'm not going to do a World War II analogy, am I? Yes, World War II tanks were killed with fucking sticky bombs, for God's sake. So just, I don't know. Let's have an appreciation that tanks can be a great big hunk of metal that can withstand quite a lot. But in theory, infantry was always going to basically trump them if they were left unsupported, and maybe that's way tanks should be. I think at the moment tanks are too easily able just to walk right into a the midst of a troop attack and just tank everything and get the hell out. There's nothing wrong with that. The skill of the pilot is what determines their ability to GTFO. But I think at the moment there maybe needs to be something just a little bit maybe more risky for them if they do go near troops. Maybe sticky bombs is what we need. Maybe the ability to plant grenades and immobilize the tank is good. These are all things that I think at the moment these are advanced pieces of gameplay, I guess, but in theory, could we blow its tracks off, and therefore it's still a very phenomenally dangerous target because it's still got this turret and all that, but we could immobilize it maybe, or maybe the other way around. Maybe we could take its turret out, so they have to go back to the base and find a logi bro to repair it. All good stuff. And I think this is really all the stuff that I think Eve was. It was always brilliant to have had that in Eve, the ability to disable turrets and the ability to disable the ship in general. But we never really saw that, I think, just because of the complexities of that. Well, maybe in Dust we can do that because it might be less of a challenge, let's say, because we could just immobilize the tank's speed, so the tank speed reduces down to like 2 miles per hour. It's all stuff that I'm sure is possible, but having said that, what do I know? It's just ideas, just throwing them out there. So let me show you this dude. This dude in the dropship here was fantastic. Really love to see dropships being used properly, because he was actually picking up people, taking them to the other locations and dropping them off. And I really do love to see that kind of gameplay. So, props to that dude. It was good to see dropships being used. I do wish the afterburner hadn't have been nerfed as well. I mean, it's so sluggish now, but what can you do? Oh well, there we go, victory. Another good round. Quite enjoying the kind of skirmishes, but I say I do prefer court battles, so we'll show you some more court battle footage coming soon. But again, the only issue obviously with court battles is you're not getting ISK and you're not getting skill, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. So let's see how we did in terms of kills. Well, there we go, 13-1, not bad. This is probably a testament to prototype suits as well. I generally run proto now, and I just barely die. I think the cost of them you have to outweigh against the fact that you won't lose them that often, but I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.